Welcome to another episode of the Take Up Space podcast. This time around, this season, we're passing the mic back to community members and survivors. We want to hear from them. We want to hear about their stories and journeys. So, this time, meet
Uvie.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Uvie. Pronouns are she, they. I've been in Ottawa for 4 years now, and yeah, I've been to a few Project Agape programs. Really love what they're doing, so I'm just really excited to be here with you today.
I'm glad. I'm so glad. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Okay, so let's just dive right into it.
Sure.
So, thus far, what has your healing journey felt like?
Very up and down, I would say. It's been a lot, which is something that I'm also really grateful to Project Agape for, because I think it allowed me to have a lot of introspection through the Black Joy and healing. There were a lot of things that I kind of had to take a second, pause, think about, that I never really thought about before. And yeah, it gave me a lot to think about. And I think I definitely approach taking care of myself differently now. And so there's still, little moments and moments where I'm just feeling super, super down. And then there's moments where I'm feeling, super grateful, super blessed. And so, yeah, definitely up and down, but we're still moving, and that's what matters.
I hear you.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it too. And I'm glad that as a collective, we've been able to be a part of that. So in relation to your healing journey still, when do you feel like it began for you?
Yeah. So for me, I think the beginning process of it was moving out of my family home for sure. And just getting that independence. And after a while of kind of being on my own and kind of having to figure out a lot of stuff on my own, I just kind of had, I don't remember exactly when, but there was just kind of this light bulb moment where I was kind of you didn't really get a chance to kind of get to know yourself on a deeper level. Your entire life before university is school, right? There wasn't really a lot of time to find my hobbies, find my interests, because I was so focused on making my parents proud, making sure my grades were good, making sure I got into a good university. So once I did all that, I was okay, who are you as a person? Because I genuinely didn't know. And so then I found my passion for art and I really love painting. I really love doing nails. And it just, it really made me sit and kind of really dig deeper into myself and kind of figure out who am I, what are my interests? And also then kind of looking at my experiences and then saying, okay, this is what I've experienced. This is how this has made me who I am now. And now how do I take that and form it to now inform who I am now and how I take care of myself and how I move in the world and make myself a better person so that I can put that out into the world. Because I do really believe that the energy you put out is what you get back. So I do really try and now focus on exuding that positive energy, even though sometimes it is hard. I not positive every day for sure.
Fair.
But we do our best, And so, yeah, definitely after I found my independence, it just kind of has been an upward movement from there. Yeah.
That makes me think of so many things, because I feel already the whole idea of exploring who you are outside of doing, outside of accomplishments, outside of the structure that school provides is already such an interesting exploration. But I also feel everything that is okay, I want to show up in the world as this, and this is what I want to put out, is also such a beautiful thing to hold. Because even I think we've only met maybe in person twice now, and we've been able to connect through PA's Black Immigrant Advisory Board. But even then, I'm oh, I am sitting across with someone who actually does practice what they preach. Because in every space and every moment I've shared with you, you really do show up as, someone who just wants to put love out. So I just wanted to give you your flowers. I went a little off, but yeah.
No, I do really appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. Okay. So next question is, have there been any unexpected parts of your journey? Maybe something you didn't see coming that kind of took you by surprise in your healing journey?
Yeah, for sure. I think the major thing for me, especially with having immigrant parents, your entire life is kind of like mapped out and it's like, this is what you're going to do. And, you know, when I came to Canada, I kind of had, okay, school for 4 years and then we're going to do a master's and then we're going to go from there. And everything hasn't been the way that I planned at all. And so definitely the unexpected parts are just the plans changing with no warning or just kind of, just like things not going the way that I envisioned. And so then having to take a step back and kind of with the ups and down thing where it's like the journey might be changing, but I'm still going to get to my destination, right? So trying to kind of take a more, I don't know what word to put it, but still trying to find the positive parts, even when, let's say something really negative is happening. Like I wanted to do my master's, but then had to put it off for other reasons. And so instead of being upset about that and like, you know, being frustrated that my life map isn't, you know, going the way that I had planned, it's just being like, okay, well, you know, the master's is going to be really intensive. Take this time to enjoy now this like extra year of like free time that you've given yourself and instead focus on what can you do in that time that's like super meaningful so that when you can apply to that master's, it's like, okay, I haven't been in school for a while, but here's what I have to show for it, you know? So just like learning to adapt and like flow with the change instead of fighting the change and being upset at the change, just like moving with it and adapting with it. So that's been something that I really had to learn and it took some time. It was hard, but we've definitely started to see a better outlook on those type of things now.
Yeah. I love the idea of just like being less resistant and being more flexible and adaptable and seeing where you can grow even when things, you know, go on a different path. And it makes me curious as to, you know, maybe in those moments where you do feel more resistant or your body or nervous system kind of reacts and they're like, oh, but I wish kind of way, like, what is it that maybe like grounds you and like brings you back to that like self-compassion?
Yeah, I think for me, and like it's something, especially in the last few months that I've really seen working where things are changing, but it all happens for a reason. I feel like it's a little cliche to say these days, but like I do still strongly believe in like everything happens for a reason, you know? Like if I was doing my master's right now, probably wouldn't have applied for the nail apprenticeship, probably wouldn't have gotten that, probably wouldn't have gotten to really lean into this passion of mine that I've been wanting to do more of for so long. And, you know, the people that I've met as well, you know, like just the jobs that I've had because of not doing my master's and the people that I've gotten to meet and the things that I've learned and like the people who have helped me in those roles in one way or the other, you know, just kind of coming back to, again, you're still going to get to that same destination. You might have to take a different route. Things are changing, but at the end of the day, like I have to take care of myself in that moment and just kind of, you know, reassure myself of, okay, it's not going the way you want. This is really, really frustrating. How do we pivot into something more positive right now? So whether it's just like kind of taking a deep breath or if I'm just kind of like, even if you're like, okay, in this moment, what can I control?
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of something like that. So that's kind of what I find helps is like, if I'm feeling like everything's just not going the way I planned, it's like, okay, what right now can I control? And I'm just like focusing on that. And that kind of helps like ground me. And then you're able to kind of like go back to the problem and be like, okay, so now what do I do about this? You know? So kind of like that, where it's like pivot for a little bit. It's okay to kind of step away if something's really like stressing you out. That's something that, again, took me because I would dwell on it for so long. And it's like sometimes you need to like, because when your emotions are high, you're also not going to be thinking as clearly as you think you can. So it's like, take a moment, step away from it, just like leave it alone for a bit, go regulate, do something else for a little bit, and then you can come back to it with like clear mind, different mood, and it can change how you approach things and how things go from there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's sound advice. Okay. And who or what has been a steady hand for you throughout your healing journey?
Yeah, I would say for me, definitely my friends. I don't know where I would be without them. I'm super, if they ever watch this, super, super grateful for you. You know who you are. And yeah, it's just, again, like when things just feel so out of control, knowing that I have that community to go to for support or relief or just to, you know, just forget about everything else. It really does make a difference, not feeling like you're alone in it and just being able to like talk to other people about what you're going through, even if they can't help, you know, just having a listening ear. And honestly, as well, the community in Ottawa, like the Black community in Ottawa, there's so many people in Ottawa who just want to see you thrive. There's so many people, like perfect strangers who barely know you, who still want to see you do the best. And I've had, especially through Project Agape, actually have connected with so many people who have told me about like opportunities or what helped them in their journey, whether it's with like immigration or school or anything like that. Just like always so willing to help me and like give me advice, let me know what worked for them. And they probably don't even realize how like much that information really helped me, you know, like I have a volunteer opportunity that I wouldn't have gotten if Energy hadn't recommended it to me, for example. Or like the master's program I was looking into, I wouldn't have gotten more information if Debbie hadn't told me about a professor in that program, stuff like that, where it's like, there's so many people who want the best for you. And yeah, it's just really heartwarming to see how much love is in the Black community in Ottawa, which again inspires me to want to also put out that love, because you never know what little act will really affect someone else and like change their lives in such a big way. And so yeah, definitely my friends in the Ottawa community, they always come through for me. Always. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a heartwarming answer. And that does also resonate really deeply. I feel like when you do find the right community, I think it's almost like really, really exciting and surprising all the different ways in which, you know, love will meet you again and again. And people being willing to pour into you in different ways. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And so, if healing had a texture, a taste, a sound, or if it was something you can almost like hold in your palm, how would you describe it?
I was actually really excited for this question because I was like, I really had to sit and think, and I was like, a taste, a texture? Like, what? Where do I even begin?
I was like, we gotta tap into the somatics a little bit.
No, I know, it really, it stumped me for a second as well, I won't lie, but I think the conclusion that I came to, and like I might be a little biased because it is one of my favorite pastries, but I think of healing as like a warm croissant. And I think of it as kind of like taking those hard layers on top and letting it flake off so you can get to like the soft, warm inside. That's kind of how I look at it.
I'm never gonna eat croissants the same again. Oh my God.
No, I know, I thought about it and I was like, oh my God, wait. So that just makes so much sense to me, you know, like peeling off those hard layers could be trauma, it could be just like so many different things, and just like, or just like not getting to know yourself, you know, like it can feel like you're this like shell of a person, right? Because you don't really know what's on the inside. And so yeah, just peeling off those layers, letting it flake off, and then you can get to that really soft inside. And when you heal yourself, then you just kind of feel like you feel so light and like feathery as well, the same way a croissant is. So yeah, for me, I would say a croissant.
Okay, you ate that. I need to sit with that for a second. That like, shifted something in my brain.
No, I'm glad. That makes me so happy.
I also feel like another part of that that's coming to me is almost the idea that like it wouldn't be a croissant without the flaky exterior, but it also wouldn't be a croissant without the warm, soft interior.
Exactly.
So you really just, you know, have to take the journey for what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so cool. I want a croissant. Cool. Going back to this idea of like, when did healing start for you? And what we were just talking about in terms of like, sometimes things kind of muddle over because so much time has gone by. But are there still, I know you spoke about the whole leaving home and school, but were there any other moments, maybe like in the aftermath of that, where you had almost like an aha moment or a light bulb moment, like a, oh my God, I'm healing right now moment, like either like a pivot or even just like a really bright, like, oh, this is happening?
Yeah, I think, again, one of the first things that I was like, kind of starting to realize that I was making more time for myself was like giving myself that time and space to explore my interests and explore what I like to do, you know, not what other people thought I would do or thought I would be good at. What do I like to do? And what do I enjoy doing when I have free time? What is it that I want to do, you know? And so nowadays it's like I find myself doing something creative and I'm like, you know, I feel at home and I'm like, this is what I enjoy. This is something that brings me a lot of joy, something I like to do. And then kind of figuring out my interests was really important to me, and kind of, again, just kind of figuring out, who am I? What am I interested in? What are my views? What do I believe in? What do I value? You know, and then starting to really also surround myself with those things. Again, being active in the Black community, being active with friends, and, you know, just being in that community, that was also really important to me, and something that I realized is really important to me. Like, I'm such a people person. I love being around people. And again, that was something that it took me a while to kind of figure out what am I passionate about. And I think sometimes when I find myself like taking, because again, with Part of Agape, kind of like realizing self-care is really important. Taking care of myself is really important. Regulating my emotions, letting myself feel my emotions, because I feel like maybe a lot of people might relate, but like African household, you
too loud.
You just don't say, like, don't make a sound, go stay in your room, don't cry, don't do anything. And so also letting myself like feel those emotions, but then also kind of, you know, after that being like, okay, where is this coming from? Why did I feel this? What caused me to feel this way? And, you know, then kind of seeing if there was something, especially if it's like moments of like upset or anger, it's like, what made me feel this way? What triggered me? And then being like, okay, how do we avoid this in the future? Or if I'm feeling this way, how do I calm myself down, self-regulate, stuff like that. So in those moments where I can feel myself prioritizing myself, that's when I'm like, I'm really healing. Because I feel like, as well as like eldest immigrant daughter, just like constantly like, I know, constantly thinking about other people, and like constantly like worrying about other people, either with what they're gonna think or what they're gonna say or what they're gonna feel as a result of what I'm doing. That took me a really long time to like block out that voice of what are other people gonna think of me, and be like, what's important is what you think of yourself. What's important is how you treat yourself, not how other people treat you. So in those moments where I can catch myself like prioritizing myself, I'm like, you're doing good.
There's so many different things that makes me think of, because it's almost like, you know, that what is it, that Kamala quote where she's like, you didn't fall out of the coconut tree. And it's like, well, yeah, because, you know, doing life is relational, and I think naturally, especially like culturally and based off family dynamics, it's so, it almost feels like innate to like consider the entire world and like what impact said thing is having on people. But at the end of the day, it's also like, I belong to me, and like you were saying, like how I feel about me is actually more important than all of that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. In the moments where you felt the most like yourself, or maybe even like a new version of yourself, what was happening? What were you experiencing? What was going on inside you? And I know it's a loaded question, but it's really just asking, what was it like for you when, in those moments where you really felt either like you were being reborn, or felt like, I am the most me version of me right now?
Yeah, this was also something else where I really had to sit and be like, when do I feel like myself, you know? And again, I feel like I keep like harping on creativity, and obviously not everyone is like this. What I do, again, find when I'm in those moments where I'm doing a project, whether it's like painting or doing like crochet art or doing nail art, it just like, it feels a lot like me, you know? And I feel like, even if it's not art, I feel like everyone should find that thing that they're really passionate about. And I feel like art is such a great way to do that. It really does save lives sometimes, you know, like just like finding something that you do for yourself, you know, something that grounds you. And like, just like making art really makes me feel that way. It just makes me feel really fulfilled to just like make something and it's my own, you know, like it just makes me so happy, and makes me just feel like myself and very grounded. And just like being with community as well, like when I'm in spaces with people who pour into me and they make me feel safe enough to be myself, then I feel like myself, you know, like letting myself, like all the things that are in my head that I want to say, I'm not scared to say it, or just like my mannerisms and stuff like that, instead of like feeling like I have to dim myself just to kind of make myself more, I don't know what the word is, but more
palatable.
For other people, you know, instead of being scared of, oh, I don't want to do this thing because people are going to think I'm weird. Just do it. And the people who don't think it's weird are going to find you. And then you can be your weird self as much as you want to be, you know, which weird is also a concept, you know, like, you know, like there's no normal, you know, just who you are. And so being around people who make me feel safe, they allow me to feel like myself and be the best version of myself. And same thing with also like saying yes to spending more time with people, because I feel like, especially with the way things are right now, it's so easy to get caught up in like in life itself, whether it's work or like, you know, especially work. I feel like work is the thing that takes like the biggest chunk of people's time. And so it's so easy to lose yourself in that process. And like when you have downtime, all you want to do is just kind of like crawl into bed and just kind of like hermit away. And so I've really, especially in the last few months, really tried to prioritize saying yes to spending time with my people, even if it's not necessarily going out and spending money because, you know, the economy. And so even if it's just, you know, we go to each other's houses and we just spend time together, talk, get to see what's up with their lives, just, you know, being in that presence, again, it can be so healing. And sometimes you walk away from that and you're like, wow, I'm really glad I went. I'm really glad I spent time with this person and we got to, because again, I feel like when life gets in the way sometimes, like it's so easy for friendships to grow distant. And so, yeah, I've really been prioritizing like really working on my friendships, making deeper connections, getting to know people on a deeper level, because that's how you build that village as well. If you have people around where you guys don't really talk about anything, you guys just go, and there's nothing wrong with going out and having fun. I love a good function. But like if that's all that you guys have and you don't know anything that's going on in this person's life, you have no idea who they are as a person, then you can't really make that deep connection and you can't have that village. Again, like it's so important. So yeah, just like pouring into my friendships is something that's a really big thing to me. And those are the moments where I feel like myself when I'm in my community and when I'm being creative. Those are two really, really big things for me.
That's such a beautiful answer. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
That's also something that resonates really deeply. I always tell the people around me that it took me a minute to realize, but I think I get it in the sense that like, if I'm going to be around someone, I want to be able to eat burgers with you and go to the club with you and cry on your shoulder.
Exactly.
And I think that's all very valid. And I love that for you. That feels like the point moment of, oh, like I feel best and I feel most myself when I'm being loved. Which is quite cool. What does that feeling of safety in your personal relationships feel like in almost also what does it mean to you like in the grand scheme of your healing?
Yeah, I think again it kind of ties into people who don't make me feel like I have to suppress parts of myself to get them to like me, you know? And I find that when you let those parts of yourself out, then you realize that there are other people who are so similar to you, you know? Like my roommate right now, who's one of my closest friends, it's like now that we're in this same space, I see her do things and I'm like, oh my God, we're like almost the same person. Sometimes it's actually kind of terrifying how similar we are. Like I'll just kind of like observe her in the space when she doesn't know I'm watching her and I'm like, oh my God, like this person is like almost my twin, you know what I mean? And it's like, again, you kind of, when you put out your energy, your authentic energy, then you attract that back. You know what I mean? You get what you give. And again, I truly believe that, you know, you get what you give. And so, yeah, I find just kind of like letting yourself kind of be authentic brings that authenticity back to you. And you kind of will then find that your circle, you just have like, and then that's how you get the circle of people who really mean the world to you. You know, I have friends where it's like, we're sisters now. We're not friends anymore. It's a sisterhood. Like these are people that I cannot imagine my life without now. And like, I hope to continue to make memories with until we're old and wrinkled in the retirement home and we're like doing fun activities together. And so, yeah.
I love that. That's also very beautifully put. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So the last question I'm going to ask you, in sitting with this podcast and what we wanted it to be, the word archive kept coming up, and I was really thinking of not just what it means to collect people's stories, but really cherish them and value them and hold space for them. And so that makes me think, especially when it comes to Black people, queer people, Black and queer people, everything that it means to, really just like acknowledge the fact that we were here, we existed, we survived, And so I'm finally getting to the question. If this story, this part of what we're sharing, this conversation, were to reach someone 100 years from now, be it a descendant, a stranger, or maybe even just another Black survivor, what would you want them to know about you?
Yeah, I think for me, especially with the state of the world right now, I think I would want to be known for being a pillar for the change that we really need to see right now. I think when you look back, you want to be proud of what you've done, you know? And so I would want to, my main thing is that I always want to make a positive impact. That's my biggest thing. It doesn't, even if it's something small, you know, like I don't need to be on a stage speaking to like thousands of people. Even if I can help one person, which with a lot of like the volunteering that I do, like sometimes it's even just something as little as like recently we were doing because I work with Kind Space, and we had a community event where people just come in the space and like talk to each other, and just noticing someone who is having a hard time, you know, finding that community and being able to be that person who gives them that branch, makes them feel comfortable and makes them feel more confident in this space so that they can then take the lead to then go and like make their own community. When that happened, oh, it made me so happy. Like my heart, I was like, oh, like, and it's the little things, you know, because to you, you're just having a conversation with this person, but to that person, you have just made them so comfortable in that space. And like, you've changed their entire perspective of that day, of that program, of their experience. And so I hope that when people look back at me in the future, they can look at me and say, this person, you know what I mean? Like this person really made an impact. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course.